All right, cool. Are we at 3 o'clock?
We're just about there. We got another minute or so.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, so while we're kind of all waiting for the next 60 seconds to pass, I invite you guys to turn on your camera. This is the time we're working on your business, not in your business. So we want you guys present so you get the biggest bang for your buck, which is your time, right? You can't get it back this next hour. So we're going to do everything we can to make it super valuable for you. And speaking of that, I need to turn on my camera, right?
Lead by example, Miss Elysia.
Yeah, I didn't realize it wasn't on. It's been on all day. So yeah.
Very good.
All right, 3 o'clock. Here we go. So first of all, thank you guys for spending this next 60 minutes with us. We appreciate it. We're super excited to teach you how to recession-proof your business and stop cold calling realtors. We've got plenty of prospecting tools for you to go over and share with you today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elysia Stobbe, #1 best-selling author of How to Get Approved for the Best Mortgage Without Sticking a Fork in Your Eye. I have a couple other books as well, but that's probably the one that's most pertinent to all of you here today. So again, thank you for your time. And again, stay focused as much as you can. I challenge you to keep that camera on, put the phone on silent, close your other programs, Outlook, whatever email that you may have open. And with that, we'll get right into it. So just to recap, if you go back, oh, yeah,
You got it. Yep.
you.
You started announcing yourself, so I was trying to get to your bio slide there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just had such an amazing mortgage career. I'm so grateful. And it's funny because I was talking with a rookie today, and I still originate just a little bit to keep my mind fresh and understand what you guys are going through on a daily basis, so I can actually be a better coach for you. And I was talking to a rookie today, and she was asking me what my current pipeline is, and I only work a few hours a week still, like I said, just to keep fresh, but closed 1 deal today, 2 deals yesterday, 3 last week, and probably have, looking right now, like 10 on deck for December. She's like, wow, you're lucky. And I said, it's not luck. It's not luck at all. It's actually a consistent system that works. And we're going to share part of this with you guys here today. So you're definitely in the right place. If any of this sounds like you, if you're struggling to get solid clients and referrals, if you have challenge adding realtors and building relationships with them, or if you just put them in your CRM and none send you a referral, that also is happening to a couple people I talked to this morning. If you have trouble connecting with realtors and you don't have enough time to work on your business, right? So we were talking about you can work in your business, and that's taking loan apps, but right now we're working on your business. If you have trouble dealing with a lot of changes at the same time, right? If you're wondering who has all the good referrals and deals, we're going to show you how to get those. If you struggle with call reluctance, this also is something that a lot of loan officers struggle with today. If you are losing clients on the high rates, right? If you're frustrated with the slowing market, if you're unsure on how to make connections, if you have challenges with rate competition, or you don't have the confidence when it comes to recruiting your referral partners, and you haven't found a way to get inside that small circle of LOs that the realtors are sending all their deals to.
I'd be curious. I'd like to see if anybody can brave and put in the chat box, just put a yes or no if you happen to be dealing with at least one of those issues. It'd be interesting to see how most people are dealing with it. And again, you can put any comments that you'd like there, but just sometimes it's one of those first things like, oh yeah, that's me there. I'm definitely somebody who's losing deals to rate competition or whatever the case may be. So looking forward to being able to work with you. I'll give you guys some pointers that no matter what your issue is, our goal is that you can take some information away from here that's going to allow you to get to the next level and be able to overcome some of that. So now to your profile slide, Elysia, which we already covered, but I will co-sign since I've gotten to know you over the past year, you are an awesome human being, even outside of your mortgage superhero powers.
Thank you. That means more than anything. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, look, here's the thing. What we want to be able to help out with today is, we talk about recession-proof your mortgage business through building a massive referral network. Now, here's the thing. It says in here, as little as 5 minutes a day. What I want you to know is some of the things that we're going to share and talk about here today, you can actually put as little as 5 to 10 minutes a day. And will you eventually get a pipeline by doing some of that? Sure, right? But the truth of the matter is that if you want to have a pipeline like Elysia's talking about that's chasing you around instead of you chasing it around, whatever we're teaching you how to do here today and some of these philosophies and principles, I want you to think about the multiplication impact of it to where, hey, if I can do it for 5 minutes a day, I can do it for 20 minutes a day. If I can do it for 20 minutes a day, I can do it for an hour a day. And I'm not telling you to go much beyond maybe 90 minutes a day with any of your prospecting activities, only because that will have you achieve burnout. And I think that's kind of where, Elysia, if you'd like to start. And anyway, so what do we have next up on here? We're going to talk a little bit about authentic sharing technology as a way for you to be able to conduct some of these prospecting activities in a digital environment. But that comes later, after we get you some education here and talk about some basic principal prospecting ideas. So, Elysia, any thoughts there before we move along here?
Yeah, I think we just to talk about what authentic sharing technology is versus, this, what we're going to talk about today. You can do all this yourself. And then, of course, we have a tool that can help you do it. It's not a CRM. And one of the challenges with CRM is they're not authentic, right? Your realtors know that they're getting spam, right? They know that those emails are blasting out to them, right? Even if you have it on text as well. So this is not that, to be clear. You don't have to build a funnel, a sales funnel. You don't have to do cold calling. You don't have to stalk your realtors on social media. There's no clunky CRM. You don't have to worry about putting anything together. And you don't have to be a marketer, a designer. We've done all that for you.
So the thing is, no matter what we wind up showing you here in the end from this prospecting system, and we show you what authentic sharing technology looks like up close and personal, it does not matter if the philosophy that you align with some of the principles that we're going to teach you here, meaning that you can have the fastest car in the world, but if you're not trained on how to drive it, it does you no good, right? So everything that we talked about, what Elysia was saying here, is that this is principle driven first. Everything that I like to teach and coach and train on, whether you have a tool to be able to grease the skids or not, to be able to make that stuff go a little bit more efficiently, ultimately shouldn't make a difference. Meaning that as long as you have access to the web and you have a mobile device or a computer, then everything that we're going to talk about here is still applicable to you. All we're going to show you is a ways to potentially how to grease the skids here a little bit at the end. So stay tuned for some of that information as we go into it. And maybe, Elysia, you can just kind of talk about how we got connected in our partnership here, and then I can jump into some of that stuff and we can go from there.
Yeah, definitely. So Rocco is a prospecting and sales master. We got connected about a year ago. He reached out to me, and it's funny because like immediately I was like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, right? Because this is the start of my 20th year in the mortgage industry. And we all know that we're actually in sales, right? And if we don't, then probably that's a big problem. So when I initially spoke with Rocco, I knew he was knew what he was talking about. And we worked together for several months developing this technology. And what we do together now is train people on prospecting, which is why you're here. So you can be more successful and build a bigger pipeline. But Rocco has decades of sales and prospecting experience, successful.
And I'm going to embarrass myself and say that I don't know too much about the mortgage industry, except what I've learned in the past year from working with you. But what I do understand at a high level is relationship building prospecting. I've done it for a long time. And when I originally bumped into Elysia's profile, I wanted to reach out and introduce myself because I thought there would be a good connection for us to do some work together. But, look, away from that, as we were talking about, like if you have access to a cell phone, I'm sure you all do. I want to keep that chat box going as we go here. I'd be curious, put a 1 in there if you are an iPhone user into the chat, and a number 2 if you are an Android user. And don't be ashamed if you are. Don't let the iPhone people guilt you. I am an Android user on purpose. I prefer it over iPhone. So I'm just be curious on what you all like to use there for your your little business building device there in the palm of your hand. And with that said, let's kind of talk about some things here. Here's really what we're going to really share with you today. Some of the what I would say the root causes are for lack of sales that happen. We're also going to give you a little bit of a blueprint here to make sure that you're able to build those relationships with realtors through prospecting. And I don't care whether they're realtors that you know as people that really are in your tight inner circle, or if they have no idea who you even exist are yet, but you want to get to know them. We're going to show you a way to do that. And also give you some pointers. Like a lot of times you have people that point out technologies and saying, oh, that's, just automate your way and set it and forget it and that sort of thing. And the type of business that you're in, it's a death knell. Okay. It's definitely something that will do more harm than good. We'll show you that. And then I'm going to give you guys some real good training on different levers of influence that you'll be able to deploy based on where you're at in relationships with potential contacts that will have them drawn towards you. So when the time comes and you need to move somebody to a call to action, you can effectively be able to do that. And we'll even show you one of our secret weapons that we've created for you that will allow you to gather that intel that you need to be able to work with your prospects. So stay tuned for some of that as we go here. That's what you can expect. So here's the thing right now. Again, as Elysia said, if you have anything else open, I'm going to ask you if you can park that stuff for a bit, right? You've made a commitment. You're here. You showed up. We got about 50 people or so that joined in here. Spend the hour with us and just trust in the information a bit. My goal is to over deliver as much value as I possibly can here in the limited time that we have. But it's definitely a two-way thing. That's even why we ask for some of the cameras to come on. We want to be able to show up and give our best. We hope that you can do the same with us. So bear with us here, and we are going to jump in. Elysia, I'm going to ask you to jump in and interrupt me anytime that you like, gang. As you can imagine, sometimes I have a tendency to just let my words keep on going. So feel free to do that. And the other thing that I did want to share here really quickly before we got into some of the heart of what we're going to talk about here with everybody is that in general, when it comes to prospecting and sales, if you're taking any notes, and I encourage you to do, I just want to give this talk really quick before we jump into this. They are two very different animals. Prospecting and sales are two different job descriptions. Now, in your world, I imagine I'd like to see in the chat box, and Elysia, you keep an eye on this now, how many of you that are on this Zoom call right now are responsible for wearing both of those hats? And if that's you, the reason why I asked that question is because sometimes we get confused. And sometimes we can have people come in and give us some really good sales training. And I promise you, if you hang out with Elysia and I for the long term and you're part of the community, we will get to sales, right? I mean, it's probably my favorite thing. But I consider myself to be a master prospector first because I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So prospecting, there's a line. Prospecting is here, sales is down here. And somebody can come in, and I'll bet you if you sat down with a prospect, then they're ready for a sales presentation. You can show them your loan products and you could talk the talk and give them everything that you need to. But getting them into the room with you to get that appointment booked with the realtor to show that value, that's a whole different skill set. And I want us to master the skill sets above the line of qualification first. And that's what prospecting is about. It's about asking for a commitment of time, getting somebody to give us a commitment of time. Sales is getting a commitment of resource. This is from somebody. So I just wanted to qualify what we're going to talk about here, because again, we will get to sales eventually. It's not going to happen on this call, and you don't need it to. And maybe you already have that part down, and maybe we could just kind of help out a little bit there. So I hope that makes sense, Elysia. And I did want to qualify that before we jumped in too hard here. So here's the thing. Most of us are probably aware of this, but the top reason for lack of success in sales is the result of an empty pipeline. And as I said before, it's not caused by a lack of talent skills or even presentation ability or any of that sort of stuff. Nor is it caused by what, there's some downsize happening in your industry right now, down markets, rising interest rates. Maybe you feel like there are inferior loan products that your company that you're connected to doesn't offer. But Elysia, you were sharing some information with me recently on some of the shrinkage, I guess we call that's happening in the industry there. But that doesn't have really, that's not really causing more of a lack of sales nearly compared to what the actual real reason that's happening is, right?
Yeah, the basic issue is, in our industry, we've been really spoiled in the past couple of years just with having the phone ring. And we've gotten out of the habit, for the most part, of calling and keeping in touch with our connections and prospecting consistently. And that's the biggest reason for lack of deals. Now, there are less deals happening. There's a whole lot less mortgage loan officers and realtors in the business. A bunch of them have already left. So if you're still standing, congratulations, and you're in the right place. We're going to keep you informed and let you know how to make your mark and stand out.
And there's some notes there, right? Like I said, I'm going to ask you guys to, if you can, take some good notes here, maybe some one-liners here and there that we come up with. But the greatest opportunities are usually come in bottom markets in just about every industry, except for maybe like when agriculture came about, kind of put the cavemen out of business for good, but you happen to be in an industry that is so robust and is not going anywhere. There's going to be ups and downs and everything else, but it's always going to exist for you. So you should feel secure in there. And I guess the quote I want to try and get out to you is that, putting things in perspective, you have the opportunity of a lifetime. The more I talk to Elysia and I look into the market and what's happening there, I was taught a long time ago that you can have the opportunity of a lifetime, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't take advantage of it in the lifetime of the opportunity, right? And so when it comes to this idea of prospecting, and I'm going to share with you that I believe this wholeheartedly, that we all essentially, I could give you 5 or 6, go do this, go do that, or I could give you a bunch of how-tos. And all the how-to training that you have in the world is not going to help you do it consistently. So that little image there on the right there, that shows the authentic sharing technology platform that we talked about earlier. And you'll get a closer look at that later on. But the point is that there is a difference making sure that we have the mindset of somebody that's able to kind of control and we have to stay consistent and thinking to ourselves, I've got that hat on, and every single day I've got to become a prospector. And it's one of those things where you start saying to yourself, it's one of those things I hate to do, but here's what I don't think that prospecting is hard. Even if you're just making cold calls, I don't think it's hard. We as human beings, we're conditioned to think of the world going on around us where we like to be creative and we like to do new things and explore and try things, right? It's a human tendency that we have. So when it comes to mundane prospecting activities, meaning being able to do the same thing over and over again with fanatical consistency, it's more boring than hard, right? And that's why I would never want you to try and do this for more than an hour or two a day. Because after that, then it becomes like watching paint dry. But here's what happens. Most people will put it off because we'd rather, talk with people that are interested in hearing us. We want to present and we want to be creative and do all these things. And we never get to the business of doing the prospecting. And at the end of the month, the pipeline is empty and we're like, wow, I'm going to do my prospecting. And then we try and spend 8 hours that day making all of our phone calls, sending all our emails. And we get to the end of the day and we're like, whew, I'm done. Wow, I'm never doing that again. That was so hard because we tried to force a whole month of prospecting time into one day, 1 or 2 days, whatever it is. And we think that's what we would have to do every day to stay consistent with that behavior. And it's just not true. Same thing, like you can eat an apple today, right? We talk on, this was kind of request for another training. We talk about this. You can eat an apple today, 1 a day, the doctor said. 1 a day. The doctor didn't say eat 30 in 1 day for the month and you're good. As a matter of fact, you'll get sick from doing that, right? So that's what I'm talking about. When we say 5 minutes a day, maybe one day it could be 5 minutes, maybe another day 20 minutes, maybe an hour, whatever the case may be. What matters more than that is knowing what to do and doing it consistently. And write this one down in your notes if you're taking them. Master the mundane, the easy thing, become a master at it. Because if you follow these activities in 45 days from now, what I can promise you is that you will have a pipeline chasing you around instead of you chasing it around. That much I know for sure. And then this stuff is tested. We've been through it with other people that have gone through this with us. And of course, we have years of experience doing it ourselves. So stick with us. The purpose of prospecting is not to close a deal. That's not what we're doing with prospecting. Prospecting, first and foremost, is we want to get ourselves out there and get our story told to the people who we've targeted. So we want to build familiarity. Anything from liking a post on social media to leaving a voicemail for somebody, exchanging a business card, whatever you're doing in your prospecting activities. And we're going to give you some ideas there. But first and foremost is to build familiarity, because nobody's going to do business with you if they don't know you, right? And I'm talking for people that are responsible for being outbound. I'm not talking about waiting for leads to come in of people who've come through the web and all that sort of stuff. If you're going to rely on third-party marketing, you're always going to be wondering where, your future is going to be at from a business, because that stuff can shift so fast. When Elysia says recession proof, what we're talking about here is a way for you not to have to worry or rely on any of that stuff. So that's number one. Number two, we're looking to gather information or gather that intel. If you're going to build relationships with a realtor, you want to make sure, and Elysia, I'll let you speak to this one for a moment for sure, but you just don't want to go and try and build a relationship with any old realtor. We want to make sure that somebody's going to be able to support the growth of your business, and you're going to be able to do the same for them. So by you communicating with them and reaching out to them, you don't just call somebody randomly. Go poke a look at their LinkedIn profile first. Look at their company website. Do a little due diligence and make notes on that stuff. It allows you to gather intel to qualify. Elysia, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in doing all that intel before you initially reach out, because again, you want to make sure the realtor is a good fit for you. I don't want to work with just any realtor. I want to work with realtors who are of like mind with me and want to work together. There's a lot of, other people who don't always act professional in our industry, and I'm not interested in partaking any of that. I'll pass on that. And the other thing is too, when you're gathering this intel, it also gives you a great, easy, genuine way to connect by complimenting. As long as it's a sincere compliment, I'm about it all day long.
Sure. And that's where we're going to go next, right? So the last thing is, obviously, if you can set an appointment, great. That's kind of like, sometimes you just in the right place at the right time. And the first time you call somebody, they might be in a good mood. And I can promise you, more times than not, if you do that, like if the luck of the prospecting gods, I call on that realtor and they're like, yeah, you know what, I'm open for coffee. Why don't you stop by our office? Matter of fact, don't even bring coffee. We've got cappuccino machine here at the office. Come and join us, right? And you're like, wow, I'm good. No, it was just that day. You're in the right place at the right time, right? The vast majority of the time, those exposures that you make in your prospecting activities are going to be about building familiarity and gathering intel. Eventually, we get to setting the appointments. So just don't get a false sense of that will happen if you just try it once and that works for you. And maybe some of you have some experience there. Where I want to go next, though, is I want to start to break down a prospecting methodology that, if you stick with me here, I will think that you will, some gray clouds might start to clear and, have a little bit of an epiphany here when you start to understand how to, and I call these manual funnels for a very specific reason. Number one, when we think of marketing funnels, most people start thinking to themselves, set it and forget it, Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels, that sort of thing, and all that cool stuff out there. And I want you to know that stuff is brilliant marketing technology, and it works great when when you are a digital marketer. But in the business that you're in, where relationship building is essential, meaning that most of you are your own rainmaker, you are responsible for shaking hands and kissing babies. You are not in as much of even though it is transactional in nature, you are not in a transactional business, because in order to get there, you have to really jump through some steps to develop the trust and for somebody to think that there's credibility in them even wanting to meet with you, right? Especially when you're looking to build relationships and not just doing direct business to a client. So think about it like this. We all have a list of contacts that are out there. We have people that we might know that might be our best friend that are on that level. Then we have people out there in the world that we might have a loose relationship with. They know who we are, but maybe we don't have the strongest relationship with them. And then there are maybe people all the way on the outer edges that, like Elysia was talking about, when we want to gather intel on a realtor. As a matter of fact, one of the things we're going to do at the end is we're going to talk about a challenge that we're going to give you all to really take advantage of some of this training. But there are probably some realtors that you've thought to yourself, man, I'd like to do business with that person. If they could just get to know who I am, they would send me business because I would over deliver on value for them every single time. And I know the person that's servicing them that they're referring business to isn't doing that, right? Those are people that we don't know. So they are not aware of who we are. And if you were to take these men, you take your list, by the way, in your phone right now and in your marketable universe, as you hear it said out there, is that we have on average 200 numbers saved in our cell phone on your device. You each have in a neighborhood of about 1,800 other connections on social media, a lot of them on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you do. So that's what we come equipped with to the marketplace without any incoming leads from strangers. But yet we are all so ready to go out there and pound the market and try and find a bunch of people who don't know us yet, right? So I want to leave the unaware people out of the conversation for a couple of minutes, but I promise you I'm going to teach you how to connect with people who don't know who you are yet. The reason I want to focus on those connections that you do have already is because the fact of the matter is, if you had a system to strategically stay in front of those people and communicate with them on a regular basis to get your story told, you would have an endless pipeline of referrals coming to you. But we are so anxious to go get to the people that we don't know. And I just be curious in the chat box here, I'll ask for another, kind of a poll here real quick, is do you right now, have you done a good job of staying consistently in front of the marketable universe of people that you already know and are connected to? You see, most of the people that I talk to, when it comes to their individual prospect, and I say, well, what about you have 300 connections on Facebook? Why are you not talking with those people? Those people are that's weird. Like if I start trying to prospect, and really what they're telling me is I haven't done a good enough job in establishing a relationship with those people. So now for me to start trying to market my business to them is awkward. And that's not the way I would want to treat friends and family and that sort of thing. So yes or no in the chat box there, if that's the type of situation that you're involved in. And this is where these manual funnel categories is going to give you the opportunity to start getting things back on track there. So again, awareness is the first one. This is people who do not know who we are yet. I'm going to get to those folks. But what is the enrichment category of contacts? That's the people that I'm talking about. It's the people that know who you are, but you have not done a good enough job in cultivating that relationship with them. So when it comes to your prospecting activities, there are certain activities that you can do that are non-marketing or sales related that will allow you to strengthen those relationships. Because only after you strengthen those relationships should you move down to the next step, what I call credibility, where you want to start to establish that you are a credible business person. Let me give you a real life example. I have a sister. My sister loves me. She knows me very well. Okay. She knows she's my older sister, a couple of years older than me growing up. We have a very close relationship, right? So the thing is, I don't have to worry about the enrichment part of it. We're already there. She knows who I am, so I'm past that stage, and she's in the enrichment stage. We're good there. But my sister might think I'm a crappy business person, right? Just because I have a good relationship with her, it doesn't mean that I've demonstrated credibility for her to potentially want to do business with me. And so I'm not going to, if it's not my sister, if it's somebody who I just know from a loose connection somewhere, I'm not worried about trying to establish credibility with them. I'm worried about trying to build a relationship first. And the reason why these are manual funnel steps, gang, is because each human being does not go through a funnel at the same rate. We all have different personalities. We react differently. So it might take me longer to build a relationship with one person than it does another person. And it's unfair to them and almost unethical, in my opinion, to try and drive them all through some automated system at the same rate. To me, that hurts relationships more than it actually helps them. So I actually take the time to manually move those relationships, and it's worth it, big picture, trust me. So now what happens is that once I have that relationship back up and running well, now I've got the opportunity to start establishing credibility. So I can start feeding myself like, hey, you know me as a great person. Let me tell you some examples of why I'm a pretty darn good business person. I'm pretty good at what I do as well. And I'm going to show you some ways to break this down, some levers of influence that will allow you to move these people down these levels. But what happens is that I'm not going to start trying to build credibility until I have a relationship. And then after I start to build credibility, then I start looking to actually move somebody to a call to action, motivate them. Maybe it's a meeting. Maybe it's to pull a credit report, whatever it is in your business that you would consider to be a viable call to action for that category of contact. My point is this: what happens too much is that people have not earned the right to try and motivate somebody to a call to action because they skip all these other steps in the relationship. Okay. And that's just detrimental to the business. So I'd like to just pause for a quick second. Elysia, if you're monitoring any of the chats there, is this, I'd like to just wonder, if you feel like sometimes when you're doing your prospecting that you haven't been able to position this, but maybe there's some clarity that's coming to you on a way to actually take people through some of these steps so you can feel comfortable that it's not icky or awkward when you go to approach people that are in your marketable universe that you haven't done a good job of building a relationship with yet. All right. And then the last thing that I'll do here before I move off of this, we'll start to break this down, is I want to go back to the people at the awareness level. There are people who, again, you want them to know who you are. You know who they are. You'd like to do business with them, but they don't know who you are. You're not on their radar, right? So before you can start building a relationship with them, you've got to get their attention. You got to make them aware of who you are. And again, we're going to give some levers of influence there that are going to teach you how to do that. But last thing before I move off here, if I took your 2,000 contacts now and we put them on, a big giant whiteboard, and we had at the top four categories: awareness category, enrichment, credibility, motivate, and we start lining those people up based on where you're at in your relationship with them, then you can know where to go from there, right? Okay, so Elysia, any thoughts there? Because we're going to start to kind of move on to this next step here.
Yeah, just real quick, got to add, I mean, sometimes we get that appointment with the realtor, but they really only gave us the appointment so we'd stop calling them, right? You call them 40 realtors on Monday, you're just annoying them if you're not adding value and you haven't taken the time to go through these steps. So you go meet with that realtor, you have the coffee, and then they totally ghost you after that, right? It's because you hadn't gone through these steps to even ask for the business. You haven't earned the opportunity or the right to ask for the business. So that's why we set it up exactly like it is. And that's why we love to talk about the science behind the sales.
Yeah. And so let's talk about what an execution gap in getting done what we want to do. I call these there are different, based on where you're at, there are different levers of influence, I should say, that you can tug on that's going to allow you to basically check the box off, move somebody down from who doesn't know you yet, so you can get on to the business of building a relationship with them. So if I'm trying to get to know somebody and they're a stranger, they're in that awareness category, the two levers of influence that I can pull on to try and get them triggered to become aware of me is using authentic communication, authenticity, and I want to be relevant and relatable to them. There are so many times where I will reach out to somebody who doesn't know who I am if I'm doing cold prospecting, and I'll let them know that this is me personally manually reaching out without automations, hiding behind automations to introduce myself, because I feel like I could add some value to their business. I feel like I could add value somewhere to them. And look, before the day ends today, gang, is that we will all see about 5,000 marketing impressions put on our eyeballs. That's the average, through the web, TV commercials, you name it. We become conditioned as human beings to filter out about 99.9% of that stuff. The reason why is because we know it's mass marketed to us. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, man, how am I going to get through to that realtor? Like Coca-Cola is spending billions of dollars to compete for 15 seconds of their eyeballs and attention. What do they care what I have to say? And we can cut through the noise by being authentic in our communication to them. When I reached out to Elysia for the very first time, I reached out to Elysia to introduce myself in that same exact way. I was very authentic in my communication, and I provided relevant and relatable information. I said, I think I have some information here to share with you about how we could shapeshift the mortgage industry and help loan officers get a higher level of success by doing some partnership work together. And that started a whole thread of conversation. So we're going to show you some tools a little bit later, but you don't have to use what we show you. My point is that you can be authentic in your communication and reaching out to somebody and be relevant and relatable. That just simply means that you understand what's going on in the marketplace. Like, you should be able to show a realtor some value that they didn't realize existed before. Write this one down if you can remember this, right? And I'll say it quick. People don't care what your solution is until they know that they have a problem. All right, that's the first part. The second part of this is that what I want to say after that is that once they realize they have a problem, they usually go looking for the solution back to the person who let them know they had a problem to begin with, right? So you want to be a problem finder first, not a solution person yet, because nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be the best, mortgage person that you've ever had that you've worked with. Go find some relevant information that could pertain to them that might not exist. I'm going to pull off the slide deck for a second. I'm going to just show you a shareable blog article that we found, and we turned into an asset that's in this prospecting authentic sharing technology we'll show you later. But here's the thing is that 72% of consumers feel disappointed or have regrets about working with their mortgage lender. And this was a white paper research we found from JD Power and Associate, all right? And I'm not going to go through this whole thing here, but what I want you to know is that we've been teaching loan officers to share this with realtors, this information. We've given them a way to personalize it. And the reason why we do that is because you can go to a realtor and being able to say, hey, let me sound the alarm, Mr. Realtor. You might not know this, but when you're referring your clients, or they're not even being referred, maybe they're just going to whoever they think their lender is, 7 out of 10 times, more than 70% of the time, they're disappointed with the way that their loan was handled. Now, that's a reflection on you, Mr. Realtor. That's a problem. 70% of your customers are not satisfied, and you're directly linked to that. Hello, you're sounding the alarm. And when they're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm just referring this to any old person who's giving me ball game tickets or whatever the case may be, right? Maybe I shouldn't be doing that because that's slowing their own growth and hurting their reputation. Well, geez, if I'm the realtor, well, now what do I do? Well, how did that person even know that? Wow, they really care about their business. That's what I'm talking about, it being relevant and relatable. Now the realtor starts looking backwards saying, how do I find my solution? Okay. So this is some of the ways that we prospect the people who do not know who we are yet. Now, once they cross that line of communication and they're in our world, now we need to strengthen relationship. And that can, kind of taking this person from here from awareness to enrichment, or the vast majority of the 2,000 people that you already have, you don't even need to do that with. You just need to start at enrichment, right? And as Elysia was saying, we could start simply by making some compliments and, again, bringing back more value into the conversation. So if I have somebody who I'm loosely connected with 3 levels away on LinkedIn, but they're a connection of mine, and I haven't reached out to them since we made the initial connection, I might just randomly send them a message one day. It's like, hey, we've been connected for a while. I know we haven't talked at all, but I just want you to know that I'm grateful to be connected with a high caliber person like you. Let me know if I could ever be of assistance professionally or personally. Doesn't matter. I'm not trying to show credibility in my business yet. I'm trying to just simply pay a compliment. You know why it's a lever of influence? Because a lever of influence is that, obviously we've heard this a million times, right? People do business with those who they know, like, and trust, right? The best way to get somebody to like you, if there was 2 of me, Elysia, right now on the Zoom, and we're both trying to compete for you to do business with us, and we use the same words, like, hey, I've got the same products, we look the same, but the one person pays you a compliment even prior to talking about how great they are at being a loan officer. The other person never did that. Left to only 2 options. Who are you going to choose to do business with?
The one who gave me the compliment, of course.
We have a tendency to you might not think that you do this, gang, but all of us do this. We have a tendency to gravitate. We like people who like us. It's just the way it is. If somebody pays us a compliment, we have a tendency, I really like that, Elysia. And so this is a lever of influence that we should definitely pay attention to. And obviously underneath that, where I talk about adding value, this is just going back to a little bit more of an extension of being relevant and relatable. You can add value in numerous ways by not just offering information, but just also making promises for certain things that you can keep. Like, I can be there for you when you need me, right? That is more valuable sometimes than whatever the case may be. If you're just trying to, again, grease the skids with somebody. What were you, Elysia? You told me the story of being a professional candy hander outer at one point as a.
Well, yeah, when I first got into business, my boss was like, go take them a candy jar and then go fill it up every month. And I'm like, it didn't really work then. I mean, yeah, you can maybe get to the front desk, but you can get to the front desk anyway. And the irony is that hasn't worked in a really long time. It definitely hasn't worked since COVID. And then I heard somebody else recommending to do that like 3 weeks ago, somebody else in the coaching space. And I was like, what time warp are you in? Like,
Yeah.
that's just not, it blew me away that there are other people out there still saying to do it. And I'm just like, come on now. There's a smarter way. There's a better mousetrap for sure. We have it.
Yeah, and adding value. I mean, it's one of that's adding the right type of value. I guess, somebody, they said to me, oh, well, like if, hey, I'll throw in a free Mercedes if you do business with me or something like that. Well, nobody's going to say no at that point, right? Like you're just, well, what changed? Right. It's like the value is there. So if you show enough value, people are going to, if we get people who say no to us is more of sales, so I don't want to get stuck on that. It's really simply because we didn't do a good enough job explaining how we can help somebody. We didn't show enough value there. So anyway, let's move on here. So, okay, we got past this. We met somebody who we didn't know. We were authentic in our communication. We complimented them, and we're moving them manually through these funnel steps. We're eliminating some of the people there that are not the right fit for us. We're unqualifying people we thought were good. But now we get into we have established a relationship. Now I want to start trying to establish credibility. And my two levers of influence that I can pull on here to be able to establish credibility is number one is social proof. And number two, showing authority. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if any of you are new to the industry out there, or maybe you don't have what you would call a ton of social proof for yourself. I'm not talking about testimonials. I'm not. I'll go back to this article. This is social proof just as much as it is value, because what I'm doing here is I'm saying, look, this is what other people are saying about the mortgage. This is what the people are dealing with, some crap loan servicers that are helping them out. That's the social proof. It's not saying, look at me, here's what my neighbor said about how great of a job I had done for them. I'm showing them, like, when people are polled in surveys and they're getting feedback on things, that's the kind of social proof that I'm talking about. So the neat thing about it when it comes to social proof and authority, which I'm going to talk with you about in a second, is that we get to latch onto things and be associated with things that we necessarily didn't have anything to do with. For example, there is what is that third party credibility company, Elysia, that has all that content that we infused into the platform. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. They're a company that produces these reports. We found that one case study on why loan officers.
Oh, Inman.
Inman. Okay, sorry. I'm the novelist still in the industry here, but Inman. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, how can I establish authority? I've only been doing this for 3 weeks. I have no authority. Maybe I work for a mortgage company that nobody's ever heard of because it's a 2-man show or whatever the case may be. But the thing is that when you can use third-party authority, like if I was, if I used some kind of reference that Warren Buffett put out there in the marketplace, and I said to Elysia, according to Warren Buffett, you should save 10% of your monthly income and invest in, high productive, high yield stocks and bonds, or whatever the case may be. Now, I get to kind of latch on to the credibility of Warren Buffett, right? So what I'm saying is when it comes to authority, you should look to do that. You shouldn't scream about you. You should always look to be able to latch yourself onto somebody else. And that's how you can do this. So it doesn't matter if you're brand new or if you've been doing it for 20 plus years or hell, even longer than that, right? Once we start, so for my sister, and I want her to think that I'm a good business person, I want to establish credibility, and I could use that by showing social proof and authority. And guess what? She's like, wow, her mind was up. This guy's actually, my little brother is not an idiot. He's actually done some due diligence and aligned himself with some good things, right? That's how you develop trust through that way. Now, once I've done that, I finally get to the spot where I can offer to motivate a call to action and I can pull on two different levers of influence there. One is solution alignment, and then one is scarcity. And solution alignment, I'm going to go a little bit quick on this so we can kind of speed things up a little bit, but solution alignment for us is using all of that intel that we've gathered along the prospect's journey to create something back to them and almost put their own words back into their mouth, right? And basically what I'm saying is that as you are communicating with somebody, you're gathering intel, they are telling you about what their likes are, their dislikes. You can see things out there on them. And when I call a prospect when I'm ready to move them to a call to action, I call Elysia and be like, Elysia, here's what you said. You said that you'd really like to make sure that you're working with a mortgage rep who doesn't call you 20 times a week, but updates you appropriately when necessary. You told me all this stuff. And I'm going through a list of all the intel that I gathered back from her, and I'm putting the words back in her mouth, and I'm saying, hey, based on what you told me, we should meet because I've got something to really share with you here. Now, as you start to get more involved in your prospecting, you're going to learn how to ask the right questions to backfill some of the stuff that when you're spying on them in line and that sort of thing. And the reason why that's so important is because questions direct the mind. And basically, when you start to learn how to ask the right questions, and we've even got some loaded in here for you to allow you to do this. But if I was to ask you, Bruce, I just happen to see you out there, no camera on, but you're the next guy on my little window here. If I was to ask you right now what color your house is, I've just hijacked your mind for a few seconds. You almost just can't stop thinking about my house is this color, even if you don't want to. And you could do the same right back to me. Now I'm thinking of the color of my house, right? So that's how questions work. So you can induce people to start thinking about things that they never thought of before by the questions that you ask. And they'll have their own epiphanies. And that goes back to the whole problem aware. They go looking for the solution who made them aware there. So that's what solution alignment is about. That's how you can get people to move to a call to action. And then you could just be less available. Now, I'm not talking about when it comes to scarcity. This is the last lever of influence that I'm talking about. But when you are so busy with your prospecting activities and you're following through with this stuff, things change. Market conditions change all the time. Rates go up and rates go down all the time. So if I was to call Elysia, and she's that realtor, and I'd say, Elysia, based on the solution alignment that we talked about, I wouldn't use those words, but you get it, right? Based on that information and the way current market conditions are, we should meet. And I don't have to say anything more than that because market conditions change every day. There's some based on the way market conditions are right now, I've got some value that I can share with you. And by the way, of course, you need to be able to come loaded with that information. We are not trying to be deceptive in any way, shape, or form. So if you have information that they don't have, the only way that they can get it is by meeting with you, and it's that valuable to them based on the due diligence that you've done above that, you're going to land more meetings than you're not going to. I promise you. Okay. And that's what this is all about. So what will happen, gang, is this. As you are taking the time, and you only need this, reason why I say 5 minutes a day to start, maybe it's just one person that you start. And each day you're looking to where to move these people. Some people can move through so fast because of their personality. It's the right place at the right time. But if you take a handful of people every day and start plugging them into the manual funnel based on where your current relationship is at with them, as you are moving them through some of these steps, eventually what's going to happen is people are going to start to push back on you. Not in a negative way because you're communicating with them well, but it's because the buying window isn't open. They are full of meetings, their calendar is full. So they can politely say, Elysia, I'm not saying no, but I'm saying not now. Maybe we can meet again in a few months. And that's when I would say to Elysia, now the world of automations can definitely work because through permission-based marketing, I would say to Elysia, I completely understand. Would it be okay if I kept in touch with you time to time? Some of my keep in touch messages, promise not going to spam your inbox. That way you might pick up some info there that could help you. Or if something comes up, you need to find me, you'll know where to get me. Would that be okay with you? So as I'm bringing people down through these manual funnel steps, many of them, about 80 to 90% of these contacts are getting moved into a long-term follow-up campaign. And we've got that baked into our thing here too. So we'll share that with you. But my point is, while you are working with those who are interested in moving to that next step with you now, you are not sacrificing the long-term follow-up of those that will eventually come into your marketable universe because you are in an inevitable business. It is inevitable that people are going to buy and refinance properties. So we do not want to miss out on any of those opportunities of people that can refer you or that can be a direct client of yours. We got a couple more things to share. Elysia, anything you want to kind of put a bow on some of that stuff? Hopefully you all are finding strategically that philosophy helpful in what you do, and some of it can make sense for you. But any thoughts there you want to put a bow on there, Elysia?
Yeah, I was just gonna add real quick. I talked to a loan officer, I don't know, about a month and a half ago. And he was new in the business and he was just going gangbusters, stopping by open houses and trying to meet realtors, which is awesome. But when he got a hold of them, he kept telling them about products that he had that he thought that they needed. But he never asked a question if these realtors needed these particular loan products, right? Whether it's, challenge credit or, foreign national or whatever. And if you have all that in your arsenal, that's great, fantastic. But it's kind of like, to use another car example, right? It's like, trying to fix a Mercedes with a BMW part. It's not going to work, right? If you haven't asked them the questions, that's why this Intel piece of it is so important, because you'll ask them questions and find out what they need in a non-intrusive way. So yeah, that's just one part of the strategy.
So now we get to the tool part, and gang, all this stuff can philosophically can work for you, and you should make sure that you have some of this stuff deployed. It's very easy to execute manually, but again, as we talked about in the very beginning, we have an authentic sharing technology app that will allow you to take advantage of execute on all of these ideas for you. But here's the thing: to have a strategy, you really most of the time are going to need a bunch of different things. You're going to need a CRM, a way to be able to track engagements. I've heard stories, spreadsheets, and people trying to write down numbers and keep an eye on things there. Using your phone to put your contacts in and copying and pasting links that you're going to share with people, sales funnel softwares, blah, 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 business cards, it all goes on and on and on. And again, if you cobble all that stuff together, the truth is that you execute on some of these ideas, you will eventually get there. Eventually, it's a long time, right? So
and a lot of money.
And a lot of money, of course. And that's another thing. That's why, like, for digital marketers that are doing so much mass spray and pray type stuff, a lot of this stuff makes a little bit more sense for them, right? So with the technology that's out there these days, they try and shoehorn their stuff into an industry like yours and say, oh, you could use this too, because it's just an opportunity for them to sell more stuff, but it wasn't designed for the core needs of what you have, right? So if there was a way to do all of those things without having to really create it all yourself, have it all baked into something that was very intuitive and easy to use, that's why I approached Elysia to build together over a year ago, and even being able to semi-automate some of this stuff. So it's one thing to have all of it, but having the words to share, like I gave you all a bunch of philosophies, but having the exact scripting for it and being able to share and track content and messaging together, all under one roof, to be directing your prospecting activities and to have Elysia being able to coach to where you go to. That's why we created this Mortgage Marketing Master app. That was the concept of some of this stuff. So as we kind of look into it here, I will bring the app up here for a few minutes. Today is not about us trying to go through and explain every little feature inside the app, because we want to use the last couple of minutes to talk about an opportunity where you will be able to participate in a 15-day prospecting challenge that will each day allow you to get familiar with how to adopt everything that's in here, and at the same time create the habits to do all the things that we just talked about here for the past hour. So
not be overwhelmed either, because a lot of times, we get excited about something, we jump in, and then we're like, oh, and then nothing happens. So that's also why we designed the boot camp.
Yeah, so this is not about us trying to give you it says app demo on the slide, but that's not what this is really about. Like, I will just kind of noodle around for a minute or so here, and we'll talk really more about this challenge. But if I go down here to the bottom, I hit the more button. This has everything that's packed in here to do all the things that we just talked about. And through the 15-day prospecting challenge and the ability for us to be able to communicate with you, we're going to give you the action steps to take each day. And all you need to do is take the actions. You don't have to create the words, the content, or the messaging. We've already put together the tools for you. I'll show you an example of a digital business card that is already created for you. So if I was to kind of click on this here, this is a digital business card. If I wanted to share it with you, it would come with a pre-written message, and I can either email it to you, I could text it to you, or I could share it to you on any social media channel as a direct message, or I could even post it on my newsfeed if I wanted to. The content of the business card, it's pretty simple. When we open it up, it actually gives us the ability to have all of our contact information when you download the app in there, and you can send this to a realtor, and they could keep your information, your social media buttons, or any information that's vitally important for you. And all they have to do is click the Save Contact button. Now, inside the Contact Manager component, you can see all their engagements. I sent this to Elysia right now, and I said, hey, Elysia, I wanted you to have my updated contact information. All you got to do is hit the Save Contact button, and it'll update everything right in your device for you. She clicks on it, the app sends me a push notification and lets me know about it. This is a conversation starting tool, but this whole all these different categories are already in here. And if you happen to look under each one, there are subcategories for the levers of influence that we talked about. They come with pre-written messages that we are going to be able to share. So you don't have to think of what to say. I always tell people when it comes to their prospecting activities, the worst time to have to think of what to do and say is in the moment you have to do and say it. And that's where prospecting falls apart for most people. So here we've closed that execution gap for you, and being able to create the messaging words that Elysia and I would use if we were out doing the same activities on a day-to-day basis, but will allow you to take advantage of it. So what we want to be able to provide you is this prospecting challenge where you have really no risk, but the opportunity to not just be able to maybe find some prospects and clients, but what I'm more interested than anything else is giving you the ability to create the habits and the mindset for you to be able to do this and show up consistently for your business. So Elysia, any thoughts from there? And there's one more thing that I do want to squeeze in there as we kind of get into.
I was going to say, you know, these messages are proven. And the other thing that's so great, and Rocco briefly messaged, so it allows you, I mean, basically we've gamified it as well. So it allows you to reach out, but you can see how many people you're contacting, right? Total this month, this week. So you know if you need to reach out to more people, and then you'll see who actually is opening your information, right? Everybody's like all excited when the CRM, you can actually see how many realtors, you know, opened your email. This, you can see who's opening your email, who's getting your text, if they're responding. There's so many great tools here that help you keep track of your prospecting. And so you have a daily dashboard every single day of what else you need to do, right? If you have 0 contacts this week, then guess what? You're going to have 0 loans next month.
Now, here's the last thing I want to say about this. I'm going to jump ahead 2 quick slides here, because then we'll talk about the difference. So again, this is not about me trying to explain how to use the challenge is going to show you how to use the tool step by step each day while getting you engaged in the activities. But here's what I wanted to talk about really quick is the Thorndike experiment. Here's, you know, Edward Thorndike back in the late 1800s put together this experiment where he would take these cats and he created this puzzle box, and he put the cat in the puzzle box, and it was like a maze and different things they had to do to try and find their way out of it. And he kept putting the cat back in the puzzle box each time. It would eventually find its way out. Maybe it would have to claw at a lever and would open the door. And the reason why the cats wanted to get out of the box is because they placed food right outside of it and they could smell it and they wanted to eat. So what would happen by the 30th try, if you look down the bottom, here's my point. You know, during the first 3 trials, the average escape time for the cat was 1.5 minutes. That's how long it took them to get out. But during the last 3 trials, and again, they took about 30 trials. During the last 3 trials, the average escape decreased to an average of 6.3 seconds. And we said before, prospecting in 5 minutes a day, right? When you start showing up and doing this prospecting challenge that we're giving you, and you start using this, or if you just leave this call and you start doing some of your own stuff and take some of these ideas and implement them, you are going to take longer in the beginning as you are learning, until you start turning it over into a habit where you automatically start knowing what to do and you just take over. You have to mentally prepare yourself for something like that to work. And so this app that we've created, or anything that you're going to do and you're going to commit, that, you know, the new year is going to be here before we know it. We talked about the opportunity. Now is the best time ever because you're still in the industry. I want you to think about this. I want you to be thinking to yourself when it seems hard that day, right? When it's like, oh, it's taking me so long. This guy said it was going to take me 15 minutes. I'm a half hour and I just figured out how to send the business card, whatever the case may be. Take a breath and think about what I'm talking about here, because in just no time at all, in a couple of weeks, you'll be like the cats that we're getting out in 6.3 seconds. You're going to be on autopilot and you've developed the habits. And then from there, it's your oyster where your prospecting habits will go. So I mean that in all sincerity. That's why I wanted to make sure that I put that in here. Elysia, do you want to share details about how to get access to the challenge and the app and all that good stuff before we close it down here? Because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I'll put it's loanofficerreferralsecrets.com is the link. If it asks you for a code, the code is maximize. And basically we're charging $1 for a 15-day trial. And during that trial, we'll start, if you get, sign up now, and then we'll get started with the 15-day boot camp on the 1st. And then we're also going to do a realtor challenge. So whoever can get the most contacts engaged with the most realtors, we're going to give away. We have lots of stuff to give away. Actually, if you want to go to the next slide, the other thing we're also putting in the app now, it should be more towards the end. It's the, here's everything you get. Dashboard, resource library, pre-written email campaigns, pre-written text campaigns, pre-structured prospecting sequences. You get to know who's on your hot list, the activity log, the digital business card, crushing limiting beliefs training for loan officers. We also are adding in now monthly office hours with Rocco and myself as well. So we'll be on for an hour or so and answer any questions you guys have about the app, about prospecting, about sales. Like, it's your call. So it's an open Zoom call for users of the app. We also have in there pre-built surveys, which I love. We didn't even get into that. There's so much stuff that the app does. Somebody had a question about, is it just texting from the phone? Absolutely not. It's way more than that. Rocco, maybe you can help me with this one question. Deborah asked if Bonbon is a video service, if it can integrate with the app. I'm pretty sure it should be.
I think from our personal resource, if I don't want to, kind of spend too much time on it, but there is an option there to put some of our, if you're turning that into a link, then it could just be placed in personal resources and framed right there for them. So we have to look at, we have lots of integrations for things like that. So
Yep.
The short answer is yes, but I really want to know the use case more for some of that stuff.
Yep. And then Erez, I hope I'm saying that correct, had a question, is the app more for contacting realtors or buyers who you pre-approve?
Yeah.
So it's definitely for prospecting. So it's for realtors that you want to build a relationship with. It's for clients that you want to build a relationship with, right? So if you have somebody already pre-approved and they're not, under contract, yes, you could follow up with them through the app. But it's also who else you might know or meet before you take the loan application.
Yeah, and let's be clear, there's a lot of content in there for referral partners, existing clients, and it's malleable, right? It's not, we've been at this for a year and we keep adding stuff in that if and where we know it's appropriate. But the purpose of this is this prospecting challenge, right? And what we focus on there is that each day you're going to get a push notification and a message sent out. It's going to have a set list of activities to follow, which include watching a couple little tutorials and then taking action steps on it so you learn how to use it. We geared this challenge specifically towards helping you develop relationships with realtors. So that could be realtors who are either aware of who you are or realtors who are unaware of who you are. Either way, if you take the steps in the challenge, you're going to do those prospecting steps, start trying to push those people through the manual funnels with you to get that call to action that you're looking for. So yes, all that other content lives in the app, but we are not trying to have you eat the 30 apples in one day. We want to do this focused challenge for you, because what will happen is once you come out of there and you're like, well, okay, I did that with realtors, I could do the same 15-day challenge with my personal contacts that I have for potential clients or my existing clients or CPAs or whoever it is that you want to build your business and your prospecting activities around, right?
Yep, absolutely. And the other thing we put in Somebody's saying I go to the link and nothing loads. Maybe too many people trying to get there. It could be. You might wish Bruce just hit the refresh because I'm able to. I just pulled it up a couple of times. People said that they were having trouble with the link and it's working fine. So I would just say keep trying. The other thing is we're introducing MLO Max. So there you go. Is it working? Rocco's gonna test it. So with MLO Max, if you guys are, it's a brand new product that we're launching. It's inside the app. I'm so excited about it. There's over 30 trainings and we're going to be adding new ones on a regular basis. So that's the other piece of the app that we like haven't even mentioned is that there's training is in there as well.
So it looks like it's still spinning on my page as well. So what we will do is, and I know that's just a pass off link to their, oh wait, did something come up or say it's not loaded? Yes, I can't be reached. So we have to make sure that that is connected there to the register page. But what we can do, Elysia, is we can email the group.
Yeah, we'll be emailing everybody too. And you basically have 24 hours to get signed up to be able to participate in the boot camp. And again, $1 for 15 days gives you a chance. We're going to instruct you every single day what to do for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day. And then we're going to have the realtor contest. So we're giving you all the tools to basically tee up your 2023 in the most positive way possible for $1. So it's amazing. I'm excited. So again, the MLO Max is launching on the 1st as well, and that's 60 additional trainings in addition to the trainings that are already in there. So plenty of great info.
So we can hang for a couple of everybody, thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with us. I hope you got some value from some of the information that we shared there and took some good notes and that sort of thing. But more than anything else, to take the challenge for yourself, get yourself set up to be a part of that, where the rest is falling out, you're going in the right direction. We can stay behind here for a few minutes to answer any additional questions that anybody has for sure. And we'll see what we can do to get that.
Yeah. And I'll put another link in there too, that people can try if that one's a little slow. So I don't know if what's up with that server, but, I'll put the other link in there too. If you guys, there's the other one, if the other one's still slow. So Bruce, if you want to try that one, that's there. And we're over. But if you guys have questions, we're happy to answer them.
So the second link seemed to work just fine. And it brought us right over
Yeah,
here.
so maybe it's just the redirecting link.
Awesome.
There we go. Okay, good. Thanks, Daniel. Do we have a video demo of the app? Yeah, I mean, there's other Rick's in. Okay, cool.
And I take that, like here's the thing is that we learn by doing, and if you want to see what it does, because you're like, oh, I don't even know if I want to look at it until I see a demo on it. The reason why we put the boot camp, or I'm sorry, the challenge in place here is because we want to walk people through it the way that you should learn how to do it. The way as if I was sitting down and you were sitting at a desk next to me. Like I used to use this analogy a lot of the times before, is that sometimes, if you buy a business, for example, like, somebody can come in and say, hey, like, you don't work for me. You get to see access to everything, right? And when you get access to this app, you guys don't work for us or anything like that. We got to give you the whole entire app. But if you work for me, I would first show you where your desk is, and I would show you where the bathroom is, and I would kind of explain to you and walk you through stuff instead of it just being a smorgasbord of things. And when you have a robust tool getting adoption, I've done this other times, and I think it's just as important for us to learn it the right way. But getting a quick explanation of the app, that's fairly easy. We've got plenty of demos recorded. I think Elysia probably from the YouTube channel probably has information on there as well for that.
Yeah, if you guys go to the YouTube channel, there's definitely trainings. You can see what the app looks like, but also, again, it's $1 for 15 days.
Yeah. John, your question there, does the content include informative articles written by, yeah, I mean, not just sourced by us, but a lot of times we're finding it from established groups like Inman, JD Power, things like that. And not only that, it's not just articles that we've created landing pages sourcing that stuff, and it's all personalized to you. So when you share it, it looks like it's sourced by you, sending directly to the contacts that you have there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see when you say how many realtors do you suggest to start with, you're going to see in the challenge where I start requesting in the first couple of days after you kind of get familiar with the first handful of contacts. It's really do no more than putting 10 new in a day and starting to follow those manual funnel steps. I really think that you can put 300 people in there. You can put 5,000. You can put as many as you want, but I want to get you to take action on a handful of things to know the right actions to take, so you can start adding in more people. Consistency matters more than volume, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, Greg, we might send out some emails, but once you have the app on your phone, you're going to get a push notification every day for the boot camp. So just in case the email goes to spam, you know how that is.
I got it says direct came in from James. Sorry, I didn't catch that because I was on the everyone channel there. But how quickly can we get the app to work? Within a day, a week, or a month? Well, we put the challenge in. I think within 15 days, what's going to happen when you come out on the other end, if you follow the steps in there and what we're doing, you're going to have a pipeline. I don't know how many it will be, but if you're doing it for 20 or 40 minutes a day and you're following the steps in the challenge, you will not be able to help but not have people that you are meeting with and starting to get your foot in the door places. Right now, you have to be selective on the people that you're going after, but I believe wholeheartedly in that, and we've tested enough to be able to know that there's a real outcome that you can get from it. So you have to, just having the app is not going to develop the pipeline. You have to do the action that's in the challenge there for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Louise. See you soon. See you in the app. Yeah. So you can get a target realtor list first, but you don't necessarily need that. Erez, are you brand new or have you been in the industry for a little bit? Because yeah, you can definitely buy a list, 22 years. So for a target list, I think the easiest thing to do is call your current realtors and say, who in your office is doing a lot of business right now, who would appreciate my communication style and work ethic, or who will sit across the table from and close a deal. And then you get that realtor's information, and either you get the warm intro right then from that realtor to meet the new realtor, or they'll give you some names. They don't want to do the intro, then you can put them in the app.
The thing I
Or
want
you
to share,
can buy the list. You got plenty of ways to do it.
have to think about that, right? Like of who's it going to be, when's it going to be? Because when the challenge each day, when you get the message from us, it's going to tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want to think 3 days out just yet. I want to have you walk into the system and know that we're going to guide you step by step on each day with all that. And you got nothing to lose. You can bail on us at any time. If you don't think that we know what we're talking about or what we're doing, and you want to move out of it, or if you don't want to follow through on what we're sharing there, that's fine. But I'm going to ask you to just kind of trust and step through it this way and allow us to kind of give you the steps to take. And it'll have you add in a few people. It'll say to you, look, you can get them from a sourced list. You can just go on to Zillow. It doesn't really matter, because it depends on what you're trying to do. If you have, Elysia said, work with people that you know, well, maybe you don't have anybody that you know that's a realtor.
Yeah, either way.
It doesn't matter. Exactly.
Yeah. And the bottom line is, I mean, at this point, your time, 20 minutes a day, is, more valuable than the dollar for the 15 days.
Erez saying, I know a ton, but I
commitment to be there every step of the way with you.
Yeah, that's a great comment. And I think that's the Erez, when you say I don't know a ton, but I do know a ton, but I don't target strategically. That's going back to systemic, being systemic in our prospecting activities. Our job is to get our story told better and more often to the right audience, right? Maximizing the time to do that. So strategically, that's what we are giving you the ability to structure some of that for you. So if you already have them, great. You're going to start them probably more on the the second part. You're not going to start in the awareness part, because those are people who don't know who you are yet. You're gonna kind of start in that relationship building section. So you'll be on pace there.
Yeah, and if you do target strategically, perfect. The app's going to help you do that, more effectively and faster. So.
I do target strategic. Sorry, Erez, I corrected you. All right, awesome.
Perfect.
You got it though. Good. All right.
All right, good. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time and good luck. We'll see
Yeah,
you
for
in the
sure.
app.
And I pass, I'll give you guys a call. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, baby.
Fantastic.
All right, Calvin, good luck then. All right, everybody. Thanks. See you soon. Thanks, Rocco. You're the best.
Oh, thank you, Elysia. I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
Take
bye,
care.
everybody.